Hello everybody and welcome to part 6 of Culture Speak, the art of talking about work. I'm delighted to say we finally got to vibrant cultures. Now if you remember, quick recap, 2 observable elements of culture, the things that you see every day. Emotional intelligence, you bringing your best self to work or being able to bring your best self to work, and engagement. And engagement is the conditions that the organization creates for you to do your best work, but also you being engaged, doing your best job to the highest level of quality, being a good teammate, all of those good things. So when you've got high emotional intelligence and when you're highly engaged, you have the magic that is a vibrant culture. If you want a culture that delivers results, you take the time and effort and you spend a bit of money to actually bring people together to define what it means, what vibrant means for us. What does it mean? Now, if you remember, I think it was in part 1, I talked about subcultures. If we teach managers how to do it, great. You spend your money up front on a really great management development program. You teach them all the basics, not only of culture building, but also how to have difficult conversations, do feedback, how to set clear expectations, all of those good things that you do. Then you spend the money up front and they've got the skills and how to do it. And so what you get is these really beautiful, vibrant cultures across the organization. And of course, because we've trained them, they have a common language. They know how to speak about culture. They know how to talk about it. So you can move to another team and you're having the same conversation in the same way about culture. Of course, it might be different in terms of the work that you're doing, but you're able to have that connected conversation. I worked with an organization, about 3,000 people, didn't have the best culture. And we really focused on developing that management capability. And long story short, the managers put what I taught them or what we taught them into practice, and they changed everything. They changed everything. They had this common language and they still use that language to this day. And that program was about 7 years ago. So it's a defined culture. Remember, you get the culture that you choose to build. If you choose to build a vibrant culture, brilliant, done. But not done, because actually you have to stay there. And that's the thing that vibrant cultures do. They know that culture isn't performative. They know they can't just define their culture and go, there you go, done that, there it is. We've written it up. It's in a culture deck. Brilliant. Netflix pioneered the culture deck. They were the ones who made it public. That was them saying we've defined our culture. But then they maintained it. You know, they didn't allow anybody to undermine the culture. They didn't suffer brilliant jerks. Reed Hastings talked about this in his book, founder of Netflix. They don't suffer brilliant jerks. If you want to hold the culture back, then you're going to be doing it in a different organization. Netflix have a 3-strike rule. Those 3 strikes can happen in a week. That's how much they protect their culture. Now, that culture's not for everyone, right? And they make it clear. It's not for everyone. It might not be for you. Australian software company Atlassian, they said the same. This is our culture. One of their values is don't F the customer. You know straight away if that's the culture for you or not. You look at those values and go, well, I don't like that word. It's deliberately designed to keep people like you out, because that's the kind of culture that they are. They move fast, they're agile, they're flexible, and yeah, don't F the customer, 100%. But that's the kind of company that they are. And the tech companies, they really invest a lot in their culture. You know, Cisco has been a client of mine. They have consistently one of the best cultures in the world. Because they invest. And it starts at the top. Remember, I talked about, in part 1, I talked about that commitment, that leadership commitment to culture. That's where it starts for Cisco. All these great cultures, it starts at the very top. You know, here in the UK, we have a company called Timpson's. If you live in the UK, it's just a tradition. One of these great companies, they mend shoes, they cut keys, simple things. But the founder of that business is just brilliant at culture. You know, he preaches culture, he's written about culture, it's all about culture, how to treat each other. And that's the thing, is it's high in emotional intelligence, so people treat each other really, really well. We don't let one individual pull it down. Because we've defined our culture, we can hold that person to it, and we can have that conversation. Right? That's why we're here, being able to talk about culture. Because we've defined it, we've agreed the behaviours, we've agreed how we'll live the values, and the values mean something to us. And we can actually recite the values. Like I said, culture's not performative. You stop me in the corridor and say, what are the values? Boom, 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 boom. Done. And the team are committed to improvement. Their team are committed to the culture that they've defined, and they don't want to let each other down. They'll do whatever's necessary. You know, they monitor that performance. They manage that performance. If someone's behind on something, they'll say, right, how do I help you? I'll catch my stuff up. How do I help you? How do we stay on track? Not for them over time and over budget on stuff. Oh, no. They're making those decisions. They're taking calculated risks. Pleasant cultures are completely risk averse. They don't want to make any decisions down there. Whereas in vibrant cultures, we're making calculated decisions. And we recognize that not every one of those is going to be right. And if we got it wrong, then we're going to switch and we're going to do something else. Right? And that's what vibrant cultures do. Great results happen. But also failure happens. But when failure happens in vibrant cultures, is like, that's an opportunity for learning. What did we do? Why did we do it? How did we do it? What can we learn? No one's being hung out to dry in a vibrant culture. Right? If they make the same mistake twice, 3 times, then there's a performance management pathway. Remember, we don't want to tolerate brilliant jerks. People are good at what they do, but they keep making the same mistake over and over again. In vibrant cultures, we don't waste time, but we take breaks. We take breaks. I'll give you an example of vibrant culture that I was part of, that I was fortunate enough to lead. All of our social things that we did were all in work time. We're not going to go for Friday drinks at 5 o'clock on a Friday. What we're going to do is, if we'll do it at 4 o'clock on a Thursday, and we'll plan it in. It's part of our commitment to team that this stuff is important. And it was never about drink. It was never about booze. It was about, okay, well, we work together and we celebrate together. That's what we do. And we learn together. And there's this continual investment in culture. And by investment, it's investment in time. If you've got the money, brilliant. I was a senior manager in government. I had no money. I had to be creative. I was inviting people to talk. I was taking the team to other companies to find out what they did and sharing information. I got a presentation from the regulators once to talk about the work that they did. All of these things just injecting that constant energy into culture. And in vibrant cultures, you just believe that anything is possible. Anything is possible. If you measure an engagement here, your engagement score is 75% and above. For me, the best organisations, their engagement, the highest I've ever seen is 88%. And it's because you're continually investing. Vibrant cultures, they're just the best. It's almost a pleasure to go to work. Those days where you get out of bed in the morning, I know what I've got to do. I'm working with a really great group of people. I love my job. I want to get better at it. I feel I can be my best self every single day. As an organization, we're constantly moving, we're constantly changing. And every time I present senior leaders, every time I talk to HR managers, this is so possible for everybody. Everybody. There's just not enough time, money, effort is spent on actually creating these conditions. Because when you do create these conditions, your employees give it you back tenfold. They give it back tenfold. You've created something they want to be part of. You've created something that they want to protect and they want to nurture and they want to see it win, whatever winning means for you. Now, the thing about vibrant cultures is there's also a recognition that it doesn't happen overnight. That actually great culture takes time to embed. And question I always get, how long does it take to change a culture? I've seen, in my own work over the last 10 years, I've seen cultures go from 59% engagement, so that would be a pleasant culture, to 81 in 3 months. So it's doable in 3 months' time. To go from toxic to vibrant probably take you about 2 to 3 years with the right leadership team in place, because there's a lot of cultural trauma that you need to address. But if you actually taken the time to define your culture and you find yourself sliding into vibrant or sliding across to combatant, it's very easy to correct because you've got a North Star that you can point everybody back to. And this is what vibrant cultures do really well. And people always say, how did we end up with this kind of culture? And my answer is always either you didn't take time to define it in the first place, so it will just evolve to be what it will be. It will be pleasant, it will be combatant, it will be stagnant. Or else you forgot, having defined your culture, that you have to hold each other to the promises that you made. So that's the end of part 6. Now remember, you can find out what kind of culture you have at any time by going to www.5culturesquiz.com. answer the questions. It'll send you a report within the hour and also a list of actions you can take to either maintain Vibrant, if that's where you are right now, or else to change your cultural conditions. Otherwise, the next part is part 7, where I'll be bringing it all together and then rounding out the series. So look forward to talking to you then.